Joe, an unbelievably great series goes the distance. You couldn't ask for it a better ending. You really couldn't. Of course, fight for both teams trying to avoid relegation, and it just shows you how even both those two teams were. We said at the very beginning, chance, likelihood is, probably goes the distance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just neither team has really been consistent in any game mode across the board, right? So you got to imagine it's going to be a little bit flip-floppy, and it kind of was, right? Vitality goes up 2 on the series, and I'm like, oh, got this prediction right. Let's get it. And then Mindfreak was like, no, thank you. That's not how that's going to play out. But interesting as well, because I thought that the only map that really had a clear-cut advantage would have been the St. Marie for Mindfreak, but Whalers, he just was that guy. Zayrox played out of his mind as well. You just had 2 pretty stellar performances, and I think the streaks were obviously a key factor as well. Just the second hill to third hill rotation, just the fact that Vitality twice were able to use streaks to help break, I think really helped them solidify the game.
Phil, it's worth mentioning it's a 2-0 sandwich right here for predictions. Of course, you had the same predictions as me to start the day, and you've been 100% correct.
It's nice, right?
It is good. It feels good, I must admit. But in terms of this map, were you a little worried at all?
This was a map, completely agree with Chance. He brought a very good point there. This was the one map I thought Mindfreak, they're going to come in here and gonna just shut Vitality down. I actually thought this could be like a 100-point club. Oh. And that's to the extent that I thought it would be. We saw Mindfreak play TK on this map. We've seen Mindfreak play Optic, Echo Fox, and they were great on it. They started fantastic, and I thought, okay, this could be a very quick series. And Vitality, like Chance said, the streaks came in. They were utilized quite well. There was one streak, I think it was a fighter pilot towards the end used on Winery. I was like, Vitality, what the hell are you doing? But they win their individual gunfights on parking lot, and as you can see, you know,
that Winery stat really tells the full story, doesn't it? 108 to 18.
Yeah.
And parking lot would have been that bad in Mindfreak's favor had it not at least been for the artillery barrage. Yeah, the fighter pilot wasn't great, but the glide bomb bought him a couple seconds here, and the artillery saved him at least 20 or 30. So, again, I think the streaks were just the biggest difference maker. So, shout out to Zayrox. He had a very good game.
Did. Of course, at that point, Vitality 1-0 up in the series. We head over to Ardennes Forest, search and destroy. And, well, put it this way, at the end of this map, Chance had a big old smile on his face. 30 minutes later, not so much a big smile. But in terms of the way they played this map, Chance, it really was very, very well played.
Pretty solid, yeah. Nothing was really standing out as being overly outstanding. I think some of the strats, there's room for improvements for both sides. Like, there was a round where I can't even remember which team it was actually. It was just trying to, I think it was Mindfreak, trying to just push right up A, but didn't have any smokes and just kind of got picked apart. So, I don't know. There's always going to be room for improvements for all teams, for anything we ever talk about. But, yeah, at the same time, Vitality just kept the momentum going. Whalers still played very, very well. And Zayrox kept up some momentum as well. But across the board, they just looked better on Forest.
Most definitely did. Of course, there are, of course, the highlights of that Ardennes Forest search and destroy. 5-4 currently. Vitality just looked beautiful. There was a couple times where Bruzzo was left kind of by himself. A couple of 1v2s, 1v3s there. Phil, is he maybe playing a little too slow?
I'm going to say no. I actually think Bruzzo is come on very, very well in search and destroy. Old Buzzo, yeah, I think he was too slow. I think he is on the same pace now as his team, and it is definitely reflecting in the victories that they're picking up now. But I do think Buzzo, yes, he sometimes is going to be the last one alive, and that's going to be the same for a lot of teams. You're going to pick those players who are playing cabin, or the ones who are playing a little bit further back. He's not going to be the Dens running down mid-map,
right? Or
Shocked Off either. You know, they kind of switch it up a little bit. But I would say that that's not particularly something you can put on Buzzo. I think he played great. His search and destroy has been great recently, as well as his respawn. But Vitality, I think Chance just picked up on one round. There was another round where Vitality just sat back on attack. I was like, what are they doing? I think Chance stood up to see if they were like, there was a problem.
Yeah.
And they were just behind bunker, and I was like, what are they doing? Then suddenly we see a smoke, another smoke. We may have seen 3, it could be 2, but potentially 3 smokes go over bunker. They start pushing through, obviously, the cave. And it could have worked out so well. I was like, okay, this is new. I like this. But Fighter kind of just took full advantage, shot 2 plays in the back. It fell apart. It was like, oh, this is awkward. Both teams can definitely improve.
Most definitely can. Of course, Vitality now 2-0 up in the series. And then this is where the Australian resurgence occurred. It was London Docks CTF. Again, both teams had their moments on this map, Chance, but ultimately it was the Australians that pulled away.
Absolutely, and I think coming into this, Joe even kind of hit on the point that Mindfreak, they should have the advantage on this map, but the original pull, it was Mindfreak basically had it clear, but Riskins comes off spawn early enough, despite the fact that Vitality gets wiped, just to be able to go across the map, because Mindfreak, all 4 players pushed up too far to be able to watch the cut, so he gets the flag pull out, and then there's a stalemate situation. Whalers goes huge, they get the flag, and then they go up, and then none of that ended up mattering because then Mindfreak just completely ran over on the second half. But again, that's just kind of like the Docs meta, right? Like it can snowball out of control very, very quickly. And Mindfreak did a fantastic job of just getting the rally caps on board. Of just as soon as they're capping one flag, they're immediately applying some pressure to go and try and cap the next. So yeah, Mindfreak on Docs, they do look pretty good.
Most definitely do. Of course, you see how quickly the score spiraled out of control. Vitality almost needed a bit of a sweeper keeper roll there to stop the aggression come through. I mean, what, 4-1 there, the second half score, Phil. They truly ran away with it.
They did. And a couple of things to kind of take away from Mindfreak you don't see, necessarily on camera. They were early here scrimming Red Reserve. Speaking to Dens, I randomly get a message at like 2 o'clock in the morning. He was like, why am I spawning here? And why did I not spawn there? And we were kind of discussing it and going through it. And it was on London Docks on Hardpoint. But I just love the attention to detail that Mindfreak are taking on watching back film. They're going back over things and they're saying, why is this happening and what should we be doing differently? And I think that's just different than, Mindfreak maybe a year or 18 months ago. And it's great to see their success, they're kind of feeding off. And I think it's something that we can see Mindfreak continue to do so. My big thing that I really want to see is Mindfreak break that top 8 or even more at an open event. And I really believe this is the time for them.
Okay, well, fair enough. Of course, after that CTF win, they managed to keep the momentum going all the way through to a Valkyrie hardpoint. Of course, we had a big conversation on the desk chance about, well, which team do we think is going to come out on top in terms of Valkyrie? And it turned out it was the Australians.
When the question was originally asked, just because I picked Vitality to win the series, I was trying to figure out a way to give it to them. And then Joe was just like, Mindfreak has really good subs. I'm like, yeah, Mindfreak has really good subs. And that's essentially how the game played out. I mean, even Buzzard played pretty nicely, and surprised to see actually both sides using ARs, because North America seems to think that the 4 sub meta is the way to go. So something to keep in mind just for the map meta as well. But yeah, Mindfreak just fantastic straight across the board. Like, they just kind of had a field day.
Yeah, they most definitely did. To your point, kind of spiraled a little bit out of control there, and Mindfreak obviously showing some good versatility. They were able to play the new map, but still, Phil, we haven't seen it in Search and Destroy yet.
No, we haven't. I don't think we will in week 3.
Okay.
However,
still give me hope.
There's always week 4, Ben.
There is.
So, eventually, I do think there's teams, again, I always say the lesser teams, they're just going to go, you know what, we're not in a great position in the league. Let's chuck a Valkyrie S&D in. Right. We might not be great in it, but we know that, for example, X team is amazing on Arden Forest S&D. They're great on this. We're probably going to lose that. Let's chuck a Valkyrie in there. And if I was on a team which was going up against a TK, a Rise, an Optic, or whatever it may be, I'd be doing that. I'd be trying to throw a spanner in the works. For these guys, I do think they played it very well. I think this is a matchup which could have gone either way. There was definitely kind of holes in both teams. But
for sure,
apart from that, I think it was great composure from Mindfreak to go 2-0 down and then push this to a game 5. And of course, we know how that ended, which we'll see very shortly. When it went to St. Marie as well, this was a map I did feel very confident with Mindfreak. I actually thought it would be more comfortable than a round 11. But again, this is what I love. I mean, round 11, when you're coming down to these just nitty-gritty stuff.
It had to go to game 5, round 11. It was the only way this series could possibly end. A wonderful, wonderful conclusion. Of course, Shock's trying to put on a highlight reel, but Vitality did have control at some point in this map. Of course, 4-3 lead chance. How did it slip away?
They should have won the game, man. The round 11, they had streaks. The streaks this game actually just entirely were awful. Like, yes, players have Mountain, but both teams, they're just calling him in too late. Like, they're in the B site, just call it in.
Right.
And the problem is here is, if you have streaks and you're on offense, if you can get the bomb down, you should be able to win. Well, that's what Vitality pulls off. So they got the glide bomb, and then they have the fighter pilot to work with, and they use them both very early. So they gave Mindfreak 23 seconds to work with by the time the streaks were burned. And then, Whalers. Then he has to push all the way up to ammo, and he's in bad gunfights. Maybe, if the gunfights go Vitality's way, obviously they should win. But if you already have control of ammo, it's very easy to just shoulder peek and check bomb. Why are you in a rush to call the streaks? Why do you get ahead of yourself? Like, save those for the absolute last moment, because if you have a glide bomb, shoulder peek. He's on bomb, called in, boom, right away. As long as you're consistently shoulder peeking, he shouldn't be able to get that defused. Mindfreak didn't force the streaks to get called in. They never had control of the bomb site, and it just, Vitality, like, there is never a situation where you have the bomb down at the open site and you have 2 streaks each and you lose. There's no excuses for that. I'm upset.
Good point.
Vitality should.
And he's 0-2 in prediction.
I know.
Doesn't help. Doesn't help. But congratulations to Mindfreak, of course, to get the 3-2 victory. Game 5, round 11 against Vitality, and one